It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome into another Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders. Alan, how are we feeling?
Yeah, still not great, but feeling a little bit better today, but still not sounding much better.
Well, I'll say I think you sound a little better. Again, maybe it's just the optimist in me thinking that, but I think the voice is getting stronger. After today, now we got a weekend in front of us. Not that you won't be doing anything. You're not completely off, I'm assuming, on the weekends here, but Monday, hopefully, when we're back in the fold on the afternoon drive, we'll see what that looks like. But I'm hopeful we're almost at 100%. But anyways, piece of news to talk about, Alan. And it's funny because with what we're going to do today, going through the offseason and what we believe is the ideal offseason, this was actually a position that I had put on here as a box to check in some form or fashion. But the Steelers adding Donald Parham to the fold, bringing him in a massive tight end. So they now have Darnell Washington and Donald Parham in the same tight end room. And I texted you right when this news dropped and said, is this even legal for them to have this much size in the same tight end room? He's 6 foot. Is he 6'7"?
Or he's 6'8".
He's 6'8". Okay. And what's he weigh?
237.
Okay. So from a weight perspective, he's not pushing like the, three bills. Like, yeah, he's not pushing the 3 bills like Darnell, but
he's actually taller than 6'8". When he was measured coming to college, 6'8" and 3/8. So there you go.
My goodness.
Almost 6'9".
So anyways, Donald Parham, time with the Chargers, obviously, is what I remember. Actually, unfortunately, the thing that I remember about him most, that nasty concussion that he suffered where he was like out. Yeah, where he was just like out. I think it was on like Thursday Night Football. So it was just like, basically the whole world watching in a game that's like, in its own window. But I've always kind of been intrigued by him. And a friend of the show, our pal Nick Faribault, was texting me about him because he was like, when he was coming out in the draft, for whatever reason, out of Stetson, Nick Faribault was a massive fan of a massive guy in Donald Parham. What do you make of him? Does he bring anything to the room here? And do you think that he's a shot to make this roster?
What do I make of him? He's tall. I really hope that they give him a locker that is like, I don't remember if I think Van Jefferson is there. I want him to give him Van Jefferson's locker. That way Calvin Austin will be between Darnell Washington and David Parham. And just so we can get the picture of like, the big, little big. That's what I'm going for. That's what I'm hoping for. He's a legit receiving option. He's not like Washington. He's not much of a run blocker. He's an okay pass blocker. But he's a pure receiving option. To me, my first sort of gut feel here is that this signals the end of Michael Pruitt's time on the roster. I would assume. I didn't think Pruitt was very good last year. I wouldn't be bringing him back. I think this is a better, more dynamic option as a pass catcher. And if they want a blocker, why wouldn't you just have Washington and Frymouth in there?
Because he is a pass catcher, that's what I had on here, was looking for another pass catching option to be able to play like in 12 personnel, obviously 13 personnel, like we saw them use Michael Pruitt in and stuff like that. Does this do anything for you in terms of Connor Hayward's?
Probably not. Not a special teamer in that way. Not versatile in that way. So I wouldn't think so. Somebody mentioned Connor Hayward, like, oh yeah, there goes Connor Hayward's spot, and Connor Hayward now sending the AB tweet like that. That's Michael Pruitt's replacement, not mine's.
How you want to? I am back. Yeah.
There you go.
I wouldn't think so, just because, like you said, the special teams ability is what's going to keep him on the roster. But it is interesting to me, like, think about what not saying what they will do, but what they could do in the red zone if Parham does make this roster, with him and Darnell Washington on the field at the same time. Love thinking about it.
Yeah, like Parham on Washington's shoulders. Just
that would be
15 feet up in the air.
Yes. I mean, again, legality of it. Is there anything against it?
No, I don't think you're allowed to do that. I don't know. You can't
Okay.
jump off a teammate, so I assume you can't climb on one either.
Okay. All right. I mean, hey, if the ball's bad enough, I feel like you should be able to like intentionally throw it just so that has to happen. But who am I to say?
Okay, so what if I give a double pass, but instead of throwing the ball forward, the first pass is a lateral to Calvin Austin, and then Darnell Washington throws Calvin Austin forward. So you throw 2 forward passes.
There's the whole player.
The pass, you're just throwing Calvin Austin.
Mm-hmm. I like how much we're getting Calvin Austin involved in something that has like nothing to do with him. Like,
you gotta have the little with the bigs. You gotta have the contrast to make it funny. Okay, this is Saturday morning.
I mean, the locker thing has to happen. Yeah, like
I mean, the locker is there. It'll be Freiermuth, Parham, Austin. It has to happen. It has to happen.
Yeah. All right. I mean, even if Parham were to not make the roster, that's got to be the way in the spring for sure. Like they got to set their
100%.
They got to set them up next to each other. We promised that this was going to happen on an episode. Why not make it today's episode? We're going to go through. We had a question yesterday from Sean going through how this could just completely get derailed for the Steelers this offseason before we even play a single game. What's a worst case scenario for what the offseason would look like? We wanted to spin that around and go through what we believe would be an ideal offseason. Alan, I have 14 different bullet points here in terms of like transactional stuff that I have for what would make this an ideal offseason for me. And again, like ideal with a grain of salt, right? Like it's not like trade for Josh Allen. Like I'm not going to have something like that on here. Like within the realm of possibility.
Yeah. Okay.
Within the realm of possibility. So I'm a little bit worried because I saw you pull out your whiteboard before we started recording, and I do want the audience to, at the end of this, in the comments, tell us which path they like more. I feel like there could definitely be some overlap here with R2. Where do you want to start with this? Because I have some cuts from the current roster as well before we even get to additions of the team.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't specifically map out any cuts, but that's fine.
Okay. So we talked about Cordero Patterson yesterday. And to be honest, I didn't even let my mind get there with him, but it certainly should be on the table for that to happen. So I did include him in this. I have a Cordero Patterson cut. I'm also cutting Larry Ogunjobi. Not that I would dislike him from a depth perspective, but that $3 million roster bonus, I believe 3 days into the new league year, you said that he's due. Maybe they circle back at some point in the offseason if he's still hanging around there or whatever and see if he wants to come back. But I would not let him get that roster bonus. And then this one really hurts. And I'm cutting Cole Holcomb too. I really hate the way that his Steelers tenure would have ended. I really wanted to see him come back and see what he looked like. But the fact that we didn't see him at all last year doesn't bode well for me. And I'm not sure, when you look at the return on investment that they got from Peyton Wilson, Patrick Queen's obviously there, and I expect Elandon Roberts to come back. I would include that within this as well. Not sure what you're getting from Cole Holcomb at this point.
All right. I will also cut Larry O with the idea that maybe you bring him back later if he hangs out. Also cut Cordero Patterson. Although I have not identified a replacement as a kick returner, so yeah.
I got some backs here that
I didn't get that far. We'll figure it out in training camp, I guess. I think I would actually try to work something out with Cole Holcomb, extend his contract a year, get him to cut this year's salary, throw some in 2026, and keep him around. And I also would re-sign Elandon Roberts for 2 more years.
2, okay. All right. I was curious as to what that would look like from that perspective.
Yeah.
In your mind.
So locking up linebacker. Got the top 3 guys, top 4 guys under contract. Don't need to think about that for a while. The other 2 contract things I would do is I would extend TJ Watt and Deshaun Elliott.
Yep. I have both of those on here as well. So another one that I have on here is got to figure out the contracts of Jaylen Warren. I don't know how you go about that one.
Yeah. I mean, I would sign Warren to a to an extension as well. Yep. Sorry, missed that one.
Okay. And we don't necessarily have this on here, but because he is an RFA,
Yeah.
What do you think that will look like? A new deal for Jalen
They'll
Moore.
tender him first, and then they'll come up with a deal. I mean, it's not going to be an expensive contract.
Well, that's what I was at. Do you think it will be like below what market value says it
Yeah.
should be because of okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Something like 3 years, 25 million. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. It feels
so. In regards to cutting Cordero Patterson, I'll start there in terms of like outside additions in free agency at the running back spot because I think they got to bring one in if that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I got one.
Some names that I was looking at, and the one that I really like here because, like you mentioned, in terms of you need somebody that's going to return kicks too, is Amir Abdullah. Was with the Raiders last year, served as their kick returner. I think that could make some sense. Some other guys that I gone on here, I'm looking for a pass catcher in this role. Maybe I should be looking for a different role, but that's exactly what I was looking for here. So like Samaje Perine's going to be out there. Dario Ogunbowale's out there. We mentioned Ty Johnson yesterday when talking about it. So that's the type of back that I'm looking for. And those are the four names that I have, one of those, but I'm curious what route you went.
The names I have down here are also generally pass catchers and yet different names. I've got Eli Mitchell, who I really like. I've always really liked. Injuries, obviously a problem, but I think he has a lot of talent. And Kenny Gainwell. I know that Steelers have a bunch of former Eagles, and they're not probably going to be able to afford to keep him around. I think he's a guy with a lot of burst, explosiveness. If you're looking for that Arthur Smith wide zone, spread the field, and he could also probably be my kick returner. I don't know if he's ever done it, but I mean, he certainly, he has. Certainly has the sort of athleticism for it. So Kenny Gainwell, I think, would be my preference, but we'll throw Eli Mitchell in there as a kind of fallback option. You can't get everything you want, right?
I really do like the Gainwell one. I'm curious, did you marry the idea of what you're doing there in free agency at the running back spot with the draft as well? Because to me, if you get a back like that, are they also going to draft one high along with extending Jalen Warren? Like, to me, those are guys that probably could serve more of a role than the guys that I have on my list.
Yeah. I'm of the opinion that we're not talking running back until third round at the earliest, probably fourth. So
okay, all right. Then that certainly makes sense. We'll stick on the offensive side here. Obviously, we got to talk about the quarterback position. I'm curious to see what you said about that route there. I've mentioned this several times, like saying cheapest could ultimately mean Kirk Cousins. And I don't know that I'm necessarily on board with that, but like, again, within reason, like for me, I would honestly just like to see them bring back Justin Fields like that for me, 2025. But realistically, the option that I'm looking at here is whatever impacts 2026 and beyond the least, whatever is hurting your future the least amount. So when I say cheapest, I don't necessarily mean just because I don't want to spend money there. I just don't want to affect the position long term this year by signing somebody to a bad contract or trading for somebody, giving up assets for somebody that I don't think is going to move the needle.
Yeah, I got him signing Fields as well. And I kind of wrote down here like 2 years, 35 million. That's where I'm at. I feel like I don't want to give him a third year. That's maybe more money than on a year by year basis, but that's where I want to be.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, so I put 2 years, 30. I'm with you in terms of 2 years seems to be the spot, like especially for the Steelers, right? They want it to be a multi-year.
But probably would need to do 3 years to do it. And I don't want to do 3 years.
Yeah, no, that's why, like, I feel like 2 years is probably where they want to be because it's a multi-year deal that allows you, like, somebody's on the roster in place for 2026, but it doesn't prevent you from taking that swing either. Yeah, that's probably where they want to be. I think I'm with you. I would sacrifice paying them a little bit more for it to be 2 years instead of 3.
Yeah.
Wide receiver spot's interesting. You really put this in my mind yesterday about the receiver position, and we were just talking about not wanting to overpay really at the wide receiver position, whatever that looks like. And so I think when you look at the free agency wide receivers, I would like to see them dip into that, but I'm so worried about the contract that they're going to potentially hand out within not worried about it because I trust Omar Khan and Andy Watto to do good business, but I when you look at that, it's just hard to see them getting one of those guys if they're not going to overspend at the position. So I don't know. Maybe it's a trade instead of free agency, or maybe it's somebody that's not set to be a free agent yet that's going to get cut, like a Christian Kirk or Deebo Samuel. So I think dip into the free agency wide receiver pool, but don't overspend. That's my big thing at that spot. I've mentioned, the intrigue that I have for a Darius Slayton that I know that hasn't had necessarily the production in New York, but like just when I watch him, looks to me like he should be a better player than he has been. But yeah, what do you think about that spot?
I got a bunch of moves here.
Okay.
And I'm with you about that. Like, I think the idea here is not to get themselves into a position where they're committing a whole lot for the future, while still trying to fix the room. So I got them signing trading for Christian Kirk. I'm sending a 3rd and a 7th to Jacksonville for Christian Kirk, and they're going to eat a little bit of that money that's on his cap for this year,
Okay.
but we're not going to do an extension. We're going to let him sit there. Okay. And then also going to take Deebo Samuel off San Francisco's hands and going to do that for a 5th, and again get San Francisco to take a little bit of that money. But Deebo, we're going to have to give a 2nd year to, I think, to make that happen. So I'm okay with it.
Okay. So you said there's a lot of moving parts within that receiver room. Is in this scenario, is George Pickens still on the roster as well?
Trading George Pickens to New England for pick 69.
Nice pick.
Right at the top of the 3rd round. So we're getting the 3rd for Kirk back, moving down in the 3rd round a little bit. Also giving up a 7th and a 5th. But I like, I'm sorry. Yeah, moving up. I'm sorry. So move up in the 3rd round in the trade from where the Steelers are to where the Patriots are, and then give up a 5th and a 7th. Get Kirk and Samuel, lose George.
Let me ask you this. In terms of the return there, pick 69 for George Pickens, I know obviously just 1 year left, but this has crossed my mind too. Is there any thought to the draft class with what is there at receiver, maybe increasing the price of receivers via trade, because teams are going to look at this receiver class and see that, there's not that much out there. Yeah,
absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, could they get more than that? Yeah, I'm trying to keep it realistic. That's a very realistic trading partner. Even though it's the AFC, I don't feel like the Steelers would be especially threatened by trading him to New England, and a team that's looking desperately for receiver help. Might even get him to like throw somebody back the other way too. You never know. They got a large collection, sort of like bottom of the roster receivers that wouldn't hurt to have on the Steelers.
This might be a little bit too bullish because, like, you're talking specifically, I'm saying one of these two names. I'm going to be more surprised if one of Christian Kirk and Deebo Samuel don't become a Steeler.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's where I'm at with it.
I'm a little, like, both is a little bold, but 100% on one or the other.
Yeah. All right. Well, while we're on receiver, draft wise, do you think that they do something in the draft? Because
let's finish the pre-draft stuff and then let's go to the draft.
Okay. All right.
That way we can sort of reset what we've done before we get to the draft.
All right, let's go to corner, because I think there's a lot of names here for me to look at that I would be very on board with. Mentioned some of them over the course of the last couple of days on here. So I need 2 of these guys. I would sign one of DJ Reed, Travarius Ward, Paulson Adebo, or Asante Samuel Jr. But I also want Nate Hobbs. Now, I understand that he can move around. He doesn't have to be, slot specific. And we know Asante Samuel can play in the slot too. But I want Nate Hobbs as my nickel defender. I want him as a slot corner because I don't think he has to come off the field in run situations either. Like, I think he could play there on all 3 downs if needed to. Like, you see how important that is for the Bills with Teron Johnson, right? Like, he's able to just stay on the field for them, and it's so valuable because of what he is as a run defender. I think Nate Hobbs can do that too, but I need that guy on the outside. So whether it's Ward, Reed, Paulson Adebo, Asante Samuel Jr., one of those guys I need to bring in as well. Sticking with defense real quick, and then I'll let you go. I'm looking at defensive line too, and I expect this to be a position where with free agency in the draft, they're going to double dip at. I would get one in free agency though I don't know what he's going to cost. Like the projection for him, like 10.5, 11 million. Don't know that I'd spend that. So if that's going to be the case, don't know how interested I am. But like DJ Jones, I think could be a great fit for what they're looking for. Or even like a Sebastian Joseph Day, if they go a little bit cheaper route, he's more like projected in like the 5 or 6 million.
All right. I like it. I've got 2 names on my corner board as well. I got Asante Samuel coming first and foremost, and a sneaky name. I just broke down 20, and it was hard to cut it to 20 because this is a good group. Sneaky name. I don't know that he's going to be actually available. I think he'll probably get re-signed, but a sneaky name that I don't think a lot of people are talking about at cornerback is Ben St. Juste from Washington. He's a free agent. And I've always liked him. He's big. He's 6'3", a little wirier than maybe like Joey Porter Jr. But I always liked him coming out of Minnesota. Trying to snatch him away from Washington and kind of give me some Corey Trice insurance. Feel like between St. Juste and Trice, you can have a big guy, and then you got Asante Samuel, who then you can move inside when you want to go nickel. And I like that combination at corner.
I like it. Okay. Anything amongst the defensive line that you're expecting in free agency? Do you think that you actually spent your morning rush talking about specifically an nose tackle? Yeah,
no, I'm anticipating double dipping in the draft, so I'm not I'm not signing a defensive line.
Okay. In the last piece of business that I'm taking care of in free agency, we've talked about, obviously Mason McCormick, should he be handed that spot or should they bring in some insurance? I look at a guy like Patrick McCarry from Baltimore who can play guard but can also kick out to right tackle. Like say things do go south for Broderick Jones this year. Or Troy Fatanu, whatever injury wise, if he doesn't come back fully or whatever. McCarry's ability to play 4 spots, maybe has he played center too? Potentially he's played all 5. I don't even know. But
good
guard and tackle, that wouldn't love him at left tackle, but he's played right tackle for sure. So I think the insurance that he could offer and just be able to move around and compete with McCormick for that starting spot, maybe beat him out. But if he doesn't, you at least got a really solid backup there. And then you got some insurance, Broderick Jones, Troy Fatanu wise as well.
You compete, you brought competition for Mason McCormick. I buried him. Sorry, Mace. Sign him Mekhi Becton.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like 3 or 4 year deal. 8-9 million per year, something like that.
So you didn't go all the way with Trey Smith, but you brought in.
But I went pretty far up the board at guard. Look, here's the thing. Reason I really like Becton though, because it gives me some young tackle insurance, right? If for whatever reason Broderick Jones doesn't develop the way we hope, Troy Fatanu gets injured again, something like that, Becton can kick out the tackle, throw Mason McCormick back in the guard. Everybody's happy. And then McCormick can take over from Sayamalu in 2026 and give him another year to develop and all that stuff. Everybody be happy, hunky-dory going forward. When you're talking about a Howie Roseman style team, you never have enough linemen. I'm signing another one.
Kenny Gainwell and Mekhi Becton coming over from the Super Bowl champion Eagles.
There you go.
I like it.
So I had to save some money with the receivers. That's why I had to make sure to note.
Okay. Yeah.
Got those guys because I spent it. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Did you do anything else in free agency? I think that wraps up my free agency. I got some draft stuff here, but
that's all I got. Samuel, St. Juste, Becton, re-signing E-Rob and Warren, and then I got a backup quarterback. Did you pick a backup quarterback?
Oh shoot. No, I didn't.
All right.
Dang.
Trey Lance is my backup quarterback.
I've mentioned him before. That's interesting. I wouldn't mind it. And again, if we talked actually same draft class as Justin Fields, we talked about if they want their number 1 and 2 quarterbacks to be relatively similar players, and you look around who's out there right now, I don't know. Did Mariota sign a multi-year deal in Washington, or is he a free agent again?
I think he's a free agent. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I might just throw him out there just to have somebody different from Lance. I really like the idea of Trey Lance, though, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'll just throw Mariota out there. That's on me for not thinking of backup quarterback. Heck, they might. I mean, we'll talk about third quarterback because I don't think it's like guaranteed Skylar Thompson's number 3. So maybe there's something else to be said about that room as well when we get into it. But okay, so I've cut Cordell Patterson, cut Larry Ogunjobi, cut Cole Holcomb, signed one of DJ Reed, Travarius Ward, Paulson Adebo, or Asante Samuel Jr., signed Nate Hobbs, brought back Justin Fields for 2 years, signed one of Samaje Perine, Dario Ogunbowale, Ty Johnson, or Amir Abdullah. I'm leaning Amir Abdullah just because of the kick return thing that you mentioned with Cordero as well. Signed Patrick McCarry, signed DJ Jones or Sebastian Joseph Day, and then one of Christian Kirk or Debo Samuel come over as well, whatever that looks like, whether it's trade. I think that they should trade for them as opposed to letting them get cut if they're going to get cut. Like they should probably try to move on that before that happens, before those teams would cut them, I think.
Yeah, it's a good shout.
But anyways, okay, so that's what I'm doing there. Let's talk about the draft here. I'm drafting a running back higher than what you said. I mean, maybe because you said round 3 is where it could start. Yeah, I drafting a running back on day 2. I ideally would not be taking one at 21, but I think, day 2 is a good spot for that to happen, assuming that it's Jaylen Warren back in the fold. And let's just go with Amir Abdullah because, like I said, I like the kick return ability.
Okay. So what's your plan at 21 then?
So I got 2 ideas. Whether wide receiver or defensive lineman would be the route that I go because I have draft at least one defensive lineman relatively high. Would like to see them double dip there and then draft a wide receiver before day 2 ends. The thing is, I don't want them to have to draft a wide receiver at 21, but just depending on how, I'd be I don't know if worried's the right word. I'm really curious as to what the quality of wide receiver is there that's left if they don't take him at 21. When you get to 52, is Alick Aomain even there? What's Jalen Royals? Is Jalen Royals even a good fit for what they want? I'd be curious as to the player they're getting if it's not wide receiver at 21.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that for sure. I'm going D-line at 21. I have hope that Kenneth Grant is
Kenneth
there.
Grant. Okay, yep.
I mean, that's the ideal pick for me. If he's not there, I'll take Walter Nolan or Derek Harmon and feel good about it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I had to draft at least one defensive lineman early, hopefully double dip at the position. Kenneth Grant, man, certainly makes sense. And the way that people have been talking about him, he seems to be one of the getting buzz right now. I think that Daniel Jeremiah was just talking about him. Who were the names that he threw out there for him? It was kind of was Dexter Lawrence mentioned?
Albert Hainsworth, I heard. There was
yeah, getting pretty high praise in the draft community right now.
Yeah.
So I think that that's certainly up there. So I guess this might be a stupid question because you said ideal pick. Kenneth Grant's on the board at 21. Not a question for you then, depending no matter what the rest of it looks like.
Yeah. He's far and away one for me.
Okay. And then I said, draft a wide receiver before day 2 ends. What does the rest of the draft plan look like for you? Because I want to see them draft a cornerback as well. I don't necessarily think it needs to be high, but there's so many guys in this draft class that maybe they're not there right now, but I think there's a lot of toolsy guys that are there with a lot of development on the right path. So where are you at with that spot? And how would you really fill out the rest of the draft? Couple day 3 picks, obviously in round 7. And how would you fill out the rest of that?
Well, so I'm banking on getting my corners in free agency, Samuel and St. Juste. I don't think I need another one. I would draft one maybe, but remember, I traded my 5th and my 7th. So
right. Yeah.
Down some picks. So
but you moved up in round 3. So is that the running back?
Yes. So for me, it is DT round 1, and then 2, 3, and 4 need a wide receiver, a running back, and another defensive tackle.
Okay. Is Donald Parham, because we talked about tight end maybe being a sneaky need, Donald Parham enough for that to not be the case?
I mean, I'd still take one with a 7th rounder if I feel like it was BPA.
Okay. And I feel like the one position that we haven't talked about on here at all, safety, where does safety come into play for you? Is it not because of Deshaun Elliott's extension?
I mean, we do need a safety. I'll try to draft one, but I don't know. Maybe dumpster diving in the summer.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, I didn't mention. I mean, you mentioned them already, and I had the same ones, but the extensions to T.J. Watt, Jalen Warren, and Deshaun Elliott. I saw somebody in the comments say something about Deshaun Elliott has 2 years left. He only signed a 2-year contract, so he has 1 year left now.
Yeah. So this is the extension off season for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of wide receiver in the draft, the sort of group of guys I've got circled there, I want a big guy. And so there's like Elikai Minor, Jaden Higgins, Savion Williams, Trey Harris. They're all sort of like from above the Steelers' second round pick to like the fourth round. I want one of those big guys. However we can make it work.
I love Trey Harris.
And I can have a big, and I have a Christian Kirk, and then I have a Debo, and I got a one of each, right? It's like
you got a Calvin Austin.
Yeah, right. And a Calvin Austin. Right. It was the old hockey game from Nintendo where you had to have like the fat guy and the skinny guy. I don't remember. I'm dating myself here.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you? I think a lot of people are going to go back to yours, and I'm curious to see what the reaction is to that George Pickens trade. That's the one I want to see the reaction to from the comments.
I feel like if I can get to one of those guys I named, Jaden Higgins is the one I really want. I like Elikai Minor, but I think he's slightly overrated for his draft stock right now. We'll see where he ends up. But if I get Jaden Higgins, Christian Kirk, and Debo Samuel, I think people will forgive me for trading George.
Along with Calvin Austin
and Roman.
Hopefully Roman Wilson. Yeah. In the fold as well. Yeah. All right. Good stuff. I'm curious to see what the comments have to say about the off seasons, which one we feel like is the better path forward for the Steelers. You did that in like 2 minutes, by the way. So that was pretty impressive. I was sitting on my
I had been thinking about it longer than you. It was my idea originally, but we had a lot of similarities though. We both got Fields. So I mean, in that regard, I don't think our teams are going to end up massively different. Are you drafting
both? Ooh, it's not something that I think
I did not leave myself enough picks to draft a quarterback, so I'm taking Brady Cook as a UDFA because I like.
Okay, there we go. I don't think Brady Cook is somebody that I would.
Or Hennigan from Memphis. I like him too. If we got a name too.
It's something that I would think about. I don't think it like has to happen. Like if the value's there for them to add one, sure, but I don't think that they need to. So, but yeah, you utilized your picks where you probably would have taken somebody, a developmental guy, to get those receivers, and I'm not upset about it. So all right, good stuff as always.
Is that what you're doing?
Say again.
What did you do with George? How are we different there?
Oh yeah, he's on the roster for me, but I've said before, like you're
just gonna try to thread the needle. I'm gonna
try to convince him to play out his contract.
All right. I like your. Hey, we said ideal.
Yeah, I think this is ambitious. Yeah. I think from like a talent in the room perspective, that is ideal. I have no clue how they do it, like how they convince him to do it. So that's where I'm at with it. Welcome back into the fold for 2025, George. Al, before we got here, tell the people they can find you.
Saunders_PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now, sites account SteelersNow.com. Go there and read the words so I can get paid 20 cornerbacks ahead of Benjamin St. Juste, who I do really like, but I just couldn't justify putting him in the top 20, and I did not want to go any farther than that because it was already 2,000 some odd words. Go check that out. And of course, like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. Somebody said they hit the bell and they don't get notifications. I think you have to go into your YouTube app settings on your phone to turn notifications on so that you get a notification on your phone. You will still get a little red thing at the top right corner if you go to youtube.com, like on your browser. But the mobile browser, if you're using the browser, the mobile browser doesn't show the notifications. So it just depends on how you're doing it.
Yeah. And then like if you have the app on your phone, you'll get like the push alerts.
Yes, if you have the app
assuming
on
that you
your
have
phone and you turn the notifications on the app, then you'll get the push alerts straight to your phone.
Yeah, there we go. So currently we are at 15,000 and Doug Legursty subscribers. So we appreciate everybody that has subscribed to the channel. But if you are not already, be sure to do so. Be sure to you got us at 64. That's somehow, some way, that's the first one that came to my mind.
That's not a bad one. Kenny Davidson was an old defensive end.
Yeah. I got no clue. Anyways, did you already? I don't know. I got caught up in the Legursty thing. Did you actually tell the people where they could find you, or did you just say about the cornerback thing? Okay, I heard the cornerback part, but I must have missed the handle and stuff like. Okay, I'm out of it. Anyways, be sure to hit us in the comments who you think would have the better off season, which path you would go with going forward this spring/summer into the fall for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So be sure to do that. Hit us with some questions.
Jeff Harding.
Oh wow. Nope. See, that's. I mean. For what we've been doing, though, like we're trying to throw more obscure ones out there. I feel bad for like forgetting Jeff Harding's, but
I feel good about
Doug Legursty
Davidson, by the way.
Doug Legursty more on brand for what we've been doing.
And Super Bowl champ back in the 70s, Steve Furness, 64 as well.
There we go. There we go. Anyways, keep those questions coming as we move through the offseason here because we are going to need them. If you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, just search Steelers Afternoon Drive. Leave us a 5-star review over there. Be sure that you're subscribed over there, all that good stuff. And then I got TikTok back finally, so I'm going to start posting on there again. So that'll be back. And then I got my personal account over there as well, just like I have everywhere. And you can find me, Zachary Smith, PGH, for Alan Saunders and myself. Thanks for jumping in. Take another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.